Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series that is all about unleashing the audacious woman within. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Amanda Jane Clarkson. Amanda's story is a magical story of from rags to riches, having left home at 16. Her story is so inspiring in how she grabbed hold of this incredible vision and brought it to life, not without a lot of trial and error, but she shares all that so authentically. She is so raw and real and relatable, and I can't wait for you to tune in to this interview. Amanda, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. I'm extremely excited to be here and to share as much wisdom as possible.
Fantastic. Let's dive straight in. So for those in our audience that haven't had the pleasure of meeting you yet, I would love you to tell a bit of your story or a lot of your story so that we have an idea of how you've come to be doing the work that you do now.
That's a great question, Edwina. And like I said before, how long have we got? I'm in my 50s now, but I've been in the trenches of business for over 30 years, but it didn't begin there. It began when I was a young child growing up in Tasmania, a small state of Australia, one of 5 kids, very, very average everyday family. And it all began when, as one of 5 kids, we didn't have a lot of money, just an average family. And like a lot of people have heard, money doesn't grow on trees. If you want anything in life, you've got to get out there, work hard, go to school, get a good education, get married, have a family. And then when you retire, the government will take care of you, which none of that really interested me as a child growing up. I wanted from a very young child to be successful in life and to be a millionaire, although, to be honest, I didn't even know what a millionaire was back then, but I just knew that the people who had money had more choice and they had the freedom. And I think from being one of 5 kids, and my mum used to bring home a lot of welfare children that I would actually bring up from age 11. They were in my care. I always had this desire to break free from conformity. I was not successful at school. And even though it sounds like the old cliche, honestly, I failed every subject except religion and art. I have no idea how I got through those, but I always wanted to break free and have a life of freedom. And I was told from my parents that to have freedom, it takes money. And so as a young kid, I would learn to do anything for money. I had so many jobs, from picking fruit to babysitting, spinning wool for the neighbours. I would cook for the neighbours. I would clean for the neighbours. So I learned from a kid that serving other people, provided the money that I wanted to have one day the dream of getting out of home and getting out of school, which I left home and school at 16. I moved in by myself. I remember coming home one day and I had one of those, tumultuous relationships with my mum, as many young women do. I probably felt a little bit angry, didn't get enough attention, all the things that teenagers go through. And so I remember this one day, it's an important turnaround in my life. I came home from school and I was about 15, and I remember walking down the side of the house and I could see all of my belongings on the back lawn. And I thought, oh, we've been broken into. But as I came around the pathway towards the kitchen area, I realised that my mother had thrown all of my belongings out onto the front lawn in her frustration and anger because I hadn't tidied up my bedroom properly. But it was in that moment that I made a decision that my life was my life and I wanted to get out of home and live according to my own dreams. I just couldn't stand the conformity. And so 6 months after that, I packed up my Volkswagen 1965 Beetle. You remember those days, do you?
Yeah.
A little sky blue one it was. Packed up all of my belongings and I took off, and I learned to live alone and fend for myself. From there, to shorten this story, 33 different jobs, none of which I loved, but I would have up to 3 jobs at any one time, trying to make ends meet. And then from there, the frustration was setting in for me because I couldn't figure out how to break free, how to make enough money to have a life that I wanted. Even though I love serving people, I still couldn't figure it out. And then in my 20s, I finally got into business. From there, 14 different businesses, so many perceived failures, so many hard times. But I still had this burning desire, Edwina, to keep moving forward. The flame within was burning so strongly that I just kept going, just kept figuring it out until I was in my 30s. I still hadn't figured it out. So I bumbled around from the age of 16 to the age of 33 with no mentorship, no help. I like to say all the gear and no idea. And I had so many different experiences, so many different businesses. And I remember one of the businesses that I started, I was training at the Australian Institute of Fitness to become a personal trainer. And it was in one of the lectures that I was blessed to start learning about personal empowerment. And a quote from the late Jim Rohn that says, "Formal education will earn you a living. Self-education can make you a fortune."
Yes.
And that for things to change, first I must change. Well, those 2 quotes literally hit me like a thunderbolt. And it was in that moment, as Tony Robbins says, decisions, you make a decisions and your life can change in a moment. I realized that I was out there looking for my lucky break, but I was the lucky break.
Yes.
And that I needed to change my stinking thinking around my self-toxic talk, success, my worth. Anything that I wanted, I could create, but I needed to change me.
Yes.
I've been looking on the outside all that time.
Yeah. I'm literally, I've got chills all over. This conversation is going to be so good. I was terrible at school and left school thinking that I had no hope because I was no good academically. I was no good at sport. I was no good at music, check every box of not good enough. And so I carried that with me for years, thinking that I needed somebody else to come to my rescue, find a man who'll look after me. And it just robbed me of so much. So for all the women out there that are listening to this, that are still carrying around that stinking thinking, we're going to dive into that about not having the academics to be wealthy. We're going to just bust that wide open. So
I certainly didn't, did I?
Absolutely.
No clue. Honestly, no clue.
Yeah. So let's dive into that stinking thinking, as you call it. I love that term. So how do we know that we have these limiting beliefs? Can you give us some examples so that we've got the tangibles?
Well, I remember getting so many messages, and up until I was in my 30s, very early 30s, frustrated. I was angry. My toxic self-talk was, not healthy in any way, shape or form. I didn't love what I saw in the mirror. Even though I had external confidence, I didn't have internal confidence. I was never felt good enough, and I was always laughed at, ridiculed. Oh, here she goes again, 33 jobs, now how many businesses? It was just constant, which didn't help my self-empowerment. And from there, I just started to look at myself and look at the results that I had in life, which were really not that much. I'd had a couple of businesses by then and I was getting by, but not really making anything of my life that I truly wanted. And I just loved helping other people. But to figure out our stinking thinking, I just looked on the outside. I looked at the people I was hanging around. I looked at my finances. Where was my money? How was I spending my money? How did I feel about myself? Who was I getting my information from? Who were my associates? And I had zero mentors. My life literally started to take a turn for the better, Edwina, when I finally started to invest in myself. And in fact, one of the very first books that I read, and a lot of people have read it, is the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series. It truly helped me, although thankfully coming through as a personal trainer, my mentor at the time was very much into personal empowerment. So that really helped me. And I started to work harder on myself.
Yep. I was so sure you were going to say Think and Grow Rich.
I've read that so many times. That's had a massive impact on my life as well.
Yeah.
Many, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big key, isn't it? I know Tony Robbins talks about that a lot as well. And so, okay. So perhaps if we think about, so I've got all these beliefs. I've got all these, this is the way that I'm thinking. People can see themselves in that story. What are some of the steps that we start to move beyond that? How do we start to break through those limiting beliefs?
Well, the first thing is, you'll hear a lot of people say, well, they want the life by design. They want the freedom. They want more choice. They want more certainty, more security for their family. Kids to go to a great school. We want to live in a homes we want to live in. We want to travel. We want it all. But then if we say that money isn't important, or money is the root of all evil, that's where therein lies the problem. And for me, I started to ask myself, what were my limiting beliefs about success, about money, about myself? And why not me? Why couldn't I learn to be successful? If other people could learn to be successful, then so could I. And I think one of the biggest things for me is the mentorship. Finding and investing into mentors who had results that I wanted was the key element that started to turn my stinking thinking into millionaires type of thinking. So first of all, it's just awareness. And I said to myself, whose beliefs are they? What did my parents think and say about money? What was I taught at school? Because I grew up in a Catholic family, went to a Catholic private school for girls. My dad's sister was a nun who used to teach us. So I was very, you've got to give, not receive. It's a virtue to give, but it didn't quite make sense to me. And I started to ask myself, well, whose beliefs are they? And how does money make me feel? Am I avoiding money? Am I pushing money away? Am I attracting it into my life?
Yeah.
So the great thing is this, what I have learned is that there's only three things we can control: our perceptions, or our beliefs, we can call them, our decisions, and our actions.
Yeah.
I made a decision, Edwina, that my parents, my teachers, my authorities weren't in charge of my beliefs. They weren't in charge of my future. I was. I had to take responsibility and look in the mirror and learn to appreciate myself, learn to change my stinking thinking of my words, because our beliefs create our thoughts and our words and our actions. So that's the number one key, I think. So many women don't stop to think and just become aware. That's what I would say to any woman listening to this. How do you feel about your money? What do you do with your money? Do you attract it or do you push it away? And what do you want for your family? What do you want for others? And thankfully with my mum, I learned to resolve that many years ago. We have a fabulous connection now, but the one thing that she taught me was serving. Serving other people. And so for me, money is just a fair exchange of service. We like to call it soulfully serving. Because if we can impact and change somebody else's life and the exchange is money, how is that not a good thing? How is that evil?
Absolutely. And I know, just going back to talking about having mentors or coaches, that was the absolute turning point in my life, the absolute turning point into, being tuned into the voices of people of possibility and leaning on their belief and their stories and their experience, which is really what I wanted to create with this series. Just starts to change that story and those beliefs in your head. If somebody else can do it, well, why can't I? And I do love stories like yours, which I hear time and again. We've talked about Tony Robbins a few times, but it doesn't come from people like yourself that have had enormous success. It's not coming from wealth. It's there has been hardship in finances from the beginning. It's not from academic learning. I'm not making it wrong, but it's just, it doesn't have to be all these preconceived ideas about how you get to be successful in life. It's a very different story. So I love it.
Really about self.
And being of service, starting to look outside ourselves, how we can be of service to bring in that beautiful exchange of energy, which is money. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just ask myself every day, how can I serve more people?
Yeah.
How can I change somebody else's life? How can I help other people get what they want so that I get what I want? And that truly is the Think and Grow Rich. And from my experience working with thousands and thousands of women over the years, the thing is, and I've done it myself, we put everything and everybody else first.
Yeah.
We don't put ourselves on the high priority list.
Yeah.
We get tired. We're trying to be a mother, a lover, a wife, a friend, a businesswoman. There's so many hats. But the truth is, girls, if we don't put ourselves first, we've got nothing left to give. And I say it's not selfish to put ourselves first. It's selfless, because if we take care of ourselves, our temple, or whatever we want to call it, we have so much more to be able to give and serve other people on a mass scale. And, there's an audience out here of women in business. It is critical that we learn to appreciate and love ourselves before we can even hope to serve vast amounts of people.
Yeah.
Have a great attitude of gratitude. Learn to appreciate money, not repel money. Because here's what I've learned too, and it's been an experience of mine, Edwina, that we have this thermostat around money and it's set for a certain amount. And unless we change our thinking around money, we will always earn the same amount of money that we've always earned, no matter what job we go to or what business. I've lived it myself. 33 different jobs and 14 different businesses. The experience is that the more I've worked on my mindset and thinking about soulfully serving, the more money I've attracted. But then the more good you can do for the world.
Yeah, that was a big breakthrough for me. My first coach, she had on her vision board when I started working with her to give $1 million to charity. And it just, you hear these things and it just was like a switch in my brain. It was like, oh my gosh, that's what it can look like. If you have great wealth, you get to be, that much more generous.
If you want to give, we do lots of seminars for the past 15 years. And I'd always say, put your hand up if you would love to have enough money to be able to give philanthropically to your family, to your children, to other people, and every hand would go up. And yet so many hands, I say, well, okay, who's got the money to give today? Who can come up here, write me a check for $500 or $50 or $1,000? And so many hands would go down, not because they didn't want to give, but because they couldn't give. Yeah. That's where it begins. Yeah. I'll have to share a quick story when I had stinking thinking around money. Yeah. We've got time for a quick story.
Oh my gosh, yes.
How I shifted my thinking. I remember we live up here on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, for anyone outside of Australia here. And we had no money. My husband and I, we were struggling, but we always had this dream to live near the beach and have a life of freedom. be able to help other people through service, through education, and give philanthropically. Like everybody, we just had we wanted a life by design. And literally every weekend without fail, we'd get on our old crusty push bikes and we'd ride down to a place called Palm Beach on the Gold Coast, Jefferson Lane. And we would literally go to every open house on a Saturday, and just walk in like we owned the place, dream as if it was ours. I don't know if anyone's ever done that.
Oh yeah.
Just go, wow, one day we are going to have a dream house.
Yeah.
And the real estate agent got to know us quite well. And his name was Scott, and Scott went from welcoming us warmly to rolling his eyes after months and months and months of this, going, oh my God, here they come again, the two time wasters. So no more greetings, no more filling out this form, because he knew we had no money. Yeah. And we just dreamed and dreamed and dreamed. Anyway, from there one day we said, let's take some money that we've saved, which wasn't much, and treat ourselves. Let's start to act like millionaires. So we got dressed up and we took ourselves out to the Versace. For those who have never heard of it, it's a 6-star hotel on the Gold Coast with, people with wealth go there, and it's all surrounded by a beautiful yacht club, and you just feel good being there. So we went there and we literally nursed one drink for 3 hours. So I had a glass of bubbles and it took me so long to drink it. I was choking on it because it cost $25. But the thing is, Edwina, we felt rich. We felt successful. There were so many wealthy people that we recognized in and around us, and we put ourselves in the feeling of it, in the environment of success. Yeah. To cut another long story short, a few years later, we found our dream block of land right near the beach. We never imagined it, because I had a scrapbook that I carried around for 20 years of my dream house. And Scott, the real estate agent, is the guy we bought the block of land off. Well, he couldn't believe it. He goes, you two, how the hell did you two end up getting a block here near the beach? I said, we never let go of the dream. Yep. We surrounded ourselves with success. We wrote on a dream board. We did all the stuff that every person's got to do if they want a life by design.
Yes. So let's dive into living a life by design, because I know that, the way that most of us live, it is that reactive. So it's like, thank goodness I've applied for these jobs and these jobs because they're available. And so I just get what I'm given. And we roll along reacting to whatever life throws our way, rather than this life by design. So can we just dive right in there, because this is one of my favorite topics. When you talk about a life by design, tell us more. What does it mean?
Oh, I love talking about it too. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It takes commitment, it takes dedication. And I have my own formula, which I call my Live Now formula, that I live by. 7 businesses that perceived failures because I wasn't living congruently. I wasn't loving what I was doing. I wasn't following my formula, my life by design formula. And then 7 businesses that were incredibly successful because I was. A life by design takes thought. And so what I would say to anyone listening to this, how I did it was, the first thing I did was, again, learning to accept myself, appreciate myself, love myself, and who I am was the very first step, awareness. But then I wrote out what my actual day was in detail, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to bed at night. I wrote down every single thing I did on a typical day. Then I wrote out what my life by design looked like on a typical day, from the moment I got up to the moment I went to bed. What would I love to feel like? Who are the people that I'd love to surround myself with? What would I love to be thinking about? Who would I love to be helping or serving, as I say? And when you have these 2 things written out, and it could be pages, the more detail, the better. I looked at it, and first of all, I asked myself, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the gap? And for some people, it's a big gap. For some people, it's not such a big gap. But you've got to know where you're at, what it's going to cost to live the life that you want by design. Who are the people you want to serve? What's the philanthropic work you want to do? What is the school you want to send your children to? Where do you want to travel? Where do you want to live? What do you want to eat? All that stuff is important. And then I ask myself, what are the 7 priority steps that I could take this day or this week that would move me one step closer? Edwina, it takes commitment. You've got to know where you're going. And I say to people, we do a lot of boating. I love boating. And we've got to set a compass. If you're going somewhere, you've got to set a compass, girlfriend. Otherwise, it's a nightmare out there. And I say, if you just set your compass and turn the dial by 1 degree, your whole life can go from living by default or by accident to a life by design. It doesn't have to be hard. One step at a time, one day at a time. That's how we live a life by design. It is on purpose, through purpose.
It's audacious.
It's audacious, girlfriend. I love that word. Yes.
Bold, daring, without restriction to prior ideas. I love everything about audacious. I can just recite the meanings.
I love it too.
Yeah, I love that. So the way that I work is with vision and vision boards. So a year out. But the idea of writing down what I do day to day and then writing another perfect day, that's awesome. I love it. That's so simple and something that I hope the women who are listening to actually do that.
Well, it's beautiful and visual. We have digital vision boards, but it's visual because when you look at an image, for instance, you write it out, which changes the neural pathways of your mind, and it starts to open the gateways of imagination and turning the impossible to the possible. It's just try it, ladies. And then you start to put images towards that. So I'm a visual person, some people auditory, kinesthetic, but add images to the words. It's if you add motion plus emotion, you start to move towards getting that momentum. And you just look at these images and you go, wow. Because what happens there, and this is why most people never reach success from my experience, is we focus on things that are not important. We are so worried about what other people say about us, what other people think. We don't prioritize our day. We let the day happen to us. We get on social media, we take any phone call, and we're not prioritized. Again, simple, but not easy. But I always ask myself, Amanda, is what I'm doing right now or being right now taking me a step closer or further away from my dream life by design? And I ask that question, Edwina, 50 times a day. And if the answer is taking me further away, I stop and I readjust my compass by 1 degree and I say, thank you, but no thank you, if it doesn't fit my schedule. This is where most women listening to this will go, oh, Amanda, I can't say no. That's such a hard word for me.
Practice would be my answer.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. So one of the words, the most surprising thing on my vision board this year that my husband commented on was the word failure. I have the word failure on my vision board, and I know that you can talk about this and the power of it.
I've had a bit of that.
But it's if we're not showing up, if we're not trying, we're never going to fail. So it's part of the whole process. So talk to us about failure and why we get to embrace it rather than run away from it.
Oh, wow. I've had more than my fair share of perceived failure. And I say, ladies, if you're listening to this, failure is a damn good thing because it's kind of like a little message from the universe that we need to stop, think, adjust our compass. And I'll share a couple of stories around failure because some people might look at me and think, oh, it's all right for you. It's easy for you. Man, I've had some very, very dark days where I've questioned my sanity. I've questioned my ability. I've questioned my self-worth. And I remember back in the GFC, in the 2008 GFC, I think everyone remembers that, we had in a property $1 million of net worth wiped out overnight. We woke up one morning, we're on our way to the airport to fly to Sydney, Australia, to speak at a wealth creation seminar, and we got the call. We had literally lost $1 million in net worth. Now, that was a lot of money for us because we've come from nothing. Before that, to create that $1 million net worth, just to put it into perspective, for 7 years, 7 days a week, my husband and I renovated properties. Lived in them while we renovated them for 7 years, giving up lifestyle, giving up fun, giving up everything to start to build a nest egg. That's how we got started. And that money we invested into another property, all went belly up. So for us, it wasn't just the $1 million, it was the 7 years of working pretty much around the clock to create this nest egg for ourselves. And I tell you what, it was sobering. We thought we'd had some security there because a lot of women, just like myself, I love the idea of security for my nest egg, gone. And I remember, Edwina, we pulled over to the side of the road. We're on our way to the airport. And it was the news literally knocked us off our feet because we thought we were safe. And I remember looking at my husband, Matt, and he looked at me and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I just said, I've literally felt nauseous. I said, we are going to put our people first. We are going to get on that plane. We are going to show up and we are going to give the very best presentation ever to help people understand the importance of growing their self-worth, their net worth, and their life worth. We're going to do what we are born to do, get out there and serve people. We got on that plane, we went down, and it was an incredible seminar, but the universe had something more for us. From that, our seminar business grew massively. And instead of just focusing on the loss of that $1 million, we got to focus on soulfully serving tens of thousands of people over the next 12 years to have incredible success from that. And so what I would say to anyone listening to this, and it could be a loss of money, it could be a loss of something else in your life that you feel that you'll never get over. Move the shift from self to serving to other people. And honestly, the universe has your back. The universe will take care. There is always something waiting. Yeah. And that's one of so many stories I could share with you that I have hit the dirt. Yeah. And from that, I would say without my mentors and my masterminds, I don't even know if I would have been able to keep going. And that was the real value there, Edwina. The real story there is having somebody that is on your team, somebody who has your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such an important thing.
Absolutely. And I think it's the way out of, just about anything. If we're having problems in our relationships, if we're, like for me, I use it if I'm speaking, just like showing up on video, on stage, whatever. As soon as I make it about me, it's too hard. And then I get, caught up in the not good enough and what will people think conversations. Yeah. But as soon as you make it about somebody else, so whether that's wealth creation or whatever it is, it just is so much easier. Oh my gosh, if I could get this message across to all.
Can I share one more very quick out there? I'll share one more quick story about self-worth, because I think this is a really impactful for ladies going, oh, I want to do what Edwina's doing. I want to get out there and share my message like her and Amanda. So many women have a message to share, have a gift or a talent that they want to share with the world. I remember when we started speaking on stage. Well, I didn't have very high self-worth. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was smart enough. And I certainly couldn't roll together sentences in a way that I was confident. I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to get on stage. People are going to laugh at me. They're going to ridicule me, because that had been my experience. Always trying, but never succeeding. And I remember this particular promoter, he says, Amanda, if you don't get on stage, I'm going to call up this woman in the US of A who's in your category and ask her to come and speak. And I said, no, you're not. I'm going to get over. I'll do it. I'll do it. And he said, the sooner you learn to get over yourself, Amanda, and start to put the focus on other people and serve people, your life will change. And I thought, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So the very first time I had to get on stage, Edwina, there were 400 people in the room. I was sweating so profusely because I was by myself. I'd never done it. I'm sweating just thinking about it. as I as I hit the stage, my shoe came off because I was in a puddle of water in my high heel, and my shoes back there, and I was bumbling, and I was so embarrassed, and there's 400 eyes on me, and by now I had the big sweat stains and in my beautiful little pink outfit I had on. And here's how bad it was. I literally had to turn my back to the audience to read every word off the screen because I couldn't remember. My mind shut down. Yeah. I went blank. Yeah. And the only time I faced the crowd is the promoter down the back of the room. I could see him going, get her off, get her off. And so my confidence shut down. I was just a mess. Like, put yourself in that space. And then I remembered the words of his partner. So this promoter's partner's going, get her off, get her off. I can understand why. But the other guy who says, stop thinking about yourself, Amanda, put yourself on, give yourself to somebody else. His words came to me, and I remember looking to this lady sitting in the front row, and she looked at me and her eyes were as big as saucers, and I could see the hope, and she was sort of egging me on with her eyes. Keep going, Amanda, keep going. The room was laughing at me, but in her eyes I could see, just keep going. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. Somehow I finished the presentation and did incredibly well. I think people felt sorry for me. But from that moment on, I think the shift for me was, I can really start to help other people. Somebody saw something in me that I didn't. Yep. And for every woman listening to this, I see something in every woman that she may not see.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's why I do this. And I think if I can get through that, anybody can get through anything.
Yes. And, I think it's those stories. It's actually in our mess that we become relatable.
That was a wet mess. Yes. Not in the
such a great.
Woo-wee. I had to go and have a shower after that. My God.
Yeah, I remember doing an interview with somebody and realizing when I went to do the outtake that I had something in my tooth the whole time. And I sent her a message and just said, I'm so sorry. If you want to reshoot it so people are distracted by my tooth, I'm happy to do it. She's like, oh no, whatever.
This is life.
Just roll with it.
Sometimes I interview women. I interviewed one the other day for our Millionaires magazine, and she's eating chicken. She goes, hang on, I've just got all this chicken in my teeth. And she goes, then I've got to put my lipstick on. I love it that women, isn't it great when we can celebrate each other and go, it's all good, girlfriend, just sort your business out. It's all good.
And it's, oh my gosh, I think turning into my 40s and beyond, life just gets better and better and better and better. So anyone that's got any kind of fear about getting older, let it go. Because
wait till you get to my age, girls. You just got to just appreciate yourself. Honestly, life's so damn short.
Yeah. And you care less and less what other people think. And gee, that's a nice space to be.
Isn't it just gorgeous?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I know, we've talked about, and the women listening have now got a picture that you've gone from 0 to, can I say, is it like 60 million? And that's, a phenomenal journey, success. What I would love is for you to come back to, there's a lot of women that are going to be listening to this, and, the elephant in the room is COVID at the moment. People have lost their jobs. People have lost huge amounts of money. There's all sorts of things coming. What would you say to the women that have got a little bubble in them of like, what could I do that's different? It's going to take some audacity. It's going to be bold. It's going to be daring. But what are some of the first steps, maybe the first 3 steps to get that beautiful momentum happening?
First of all is believing in yourself, especially if you're a businesswoman and you want to get out there into the marketplace. And again, I'll hold this money up, and it's not to show off or to make anyone weird or anything, but I always ask women, look at the money. There's different, we've got Australian money here and Yankee Doodle money, love American money. We've got euros, we've got all sorts of business here, but how does this make you feel? First of all, you need to become aware of your money mindset or your millionaire's mindset, because any business, if you have hiccups or hurdles around money or stinking thinking around money, any business is going to be hard. The first step I would do is find a mentor who has the millionaire-esque mindset, who has the blueprint of success and has a result that you want. The thing that I have learned, Edwina, is that the more I invested in mentors, the more I invested in other people who had succeeded before me, who had the actual result that I wanted, the faster I became successful. Yeah. So many people turn to the Google looking for answers and solutions because they don't want to invest in themselves because they don't feel worthy and they wonder why things don't work out. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 30 years. Didn't start out that way. It started with books. Then it went to DVDs, CDs, seminars, you name it, and so many mentors. I've invested thousands of dollars into programs just to get close to a mentor. So if you have a dream in you, you've got a message to share with the world. Who is your mentor? The second thing is you've got to have a blueprint. Success is, there is a blueprint to success. I have my own, I call it my live now formula. I live by it because it's been the reason that 7 of my businesses have been successful and given me a life by design, but more importantly, helped others get what they want. And so whatever mentor you're seeking out in your own, on your own pathway, make sure that they have the blueprint that you can fast track your own success by years. The thing is that most people, and especially women, we don't like to ask for help. We try and figure everything out ourselves. And we have this mentality that we're not worth the investment. We see it as a cost. Oh my goodness, it's the smartest, most intelligent investment. And the third thing is the mastermind community. Association. Who are you spending your time with? What are their words? Because when we talk about money, we talk about success, we talk about business, we talk about soulfully serving. If you're not in an environment that is conducive to success, you're never going to get there, because it can take one person to not believe in you, to pull you down, to ridicule you, say, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to be successful? You don't know what you're doing. You're not smart enough. You're not intelligent enough. That is where you'll hit the dirt and you won't get up. Or like the many, I guess the times I've hit the dirt, without my mastermind, without my mentors, without a blueprint, I would not be sitting here having this incredible conversation with you, Edwina. That is the truth behind success. Women, don't do yourself a disservice and think that you're not worth it. Find the right mentorship. Just invest the money. And I know you've got the money because we've all got money to do what we want with. Mm-hmm. Especially women, sometimes with children, because they'll spend money where their children, they'll go, haven't got money for business, haven't got money for masterminds or mentors. But if their child fell out of a tree, broke its arm, and it needed a $5,000 operation today, do you think they'd come up with the $5,000?
Yeah.
I say to people, it's a freaking emergency. Find the money. Yes. It's not a nice to have, it's an emergency, because the more you have, or the more wealth you create internally, the more you can create externally and do better in the world. Isn't that a dream we all have?
Yes. And I just want to say, it's never comfortable. Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I invested in my first coach, I didn't have it. I had the first payment and it was terrifying. But gee whiz, it paid off. And then each time it's just been bigger. But each time it's really uncomfortable.
I have to share one more story about money.
Yes.
Of women who go, oh, you know, this is going to cost me $500 or this course is going to cost me $3,000. I go, girls, I'll give you my experience. Remember, I started with zero. I've never been given $1 from anyone. I've had to work my way up, figure it out. I have an amazing mentor throughout my time of being in business. And I remember we had a seminar in London in front of 5,000 people, which was awesome experience. But where we were on a stage in London was different than we'd experienced in Australia. And I said to him, could you help me with my slides? I had a slide deck, like a PowerPoint, with my closing slides, because I'm not sure how to make the offer, because it's a different mentality, different country, different money, different everything. And here's what he said to me. And this mentor, at the time, we were investing maybe $60,000 a year to be with. He says, I'll give you the answer, Amanda, but it's going to cost you $30,000. And he looked me dead in the eye. And I was standing beside my husband, and I just looked at him and I thought, investment or cost, investment or cost. I put out my hand and I shook his hand and I said, you're on, give me the answer. Whether or not I was going to make the money, I was going to pay him. Anyway, he said, go and do the seminar. And then if you feel like paying me, then I know you'll come back. That's the sort of mentor he was. Anyway, we went off and did the seminar, and $30,000 turned into 10 times more that. In fact, way more than 10 times that. 3 months later, I saw this mentor as a gathering. I walked up to him, I shook his hand, and my husband, Matt, opened his jacket pocket and pulled out a check for $30,000. And I remember my mentor was just stunned. He said, you know what, Amanda, so many people start out in business, and as they become more successful, they forget their grassroots, they forget where they came from. And nobody else has ever paid me like that, like come up and give me the money, just on a handshake. Edwina, it was the smartest $30,000 we ever spent. So for women there going, I can't afford it, ask, how can I afford it? How can this change my family? How can this change somebody else's life if I take the plunge? He knew that we were going to do well. I'm so grateful for that mentor.
What's in my mind is people, not things. You know, it's what you value, and it's not making it right or wrong. But I love to tell the story of, you know, I drive around in a fairly old Peugeot. I just need a car that gets me from A to B, and it's got to have seat warmers.
I love that. Oh, I love a good seat warmer in a car. I won't get out though. That's the problem.
I live in Victoria. We have to have seat warmers here.
Warm my tushy up.
I'm going to go have a hot butt. But, you know, so it's got to get me from A to B and have seat warmers. Other than that, I just don't value. So I'm not going to pour a whole lot of money into my car. I think it was like 14,000, nothing. But a coach, 40,000, and it's a blink, but it's like, I value it. So we look at, you know, the clothes that we wear, or it could be a conversation around food, you know, organic food versus, you know, other. We always find money for the things that we value. So if somebody is saying to you, I've got the answer for you, and you're saying no, I would challenge you to say, I don't think you value it, or look at the values, because we find money for what we value.
Exactly. And a lot of women don't have money on their hierarchy of values. But as Kim Kiyosaki says, money matters to everything that is important in our life. And so that's how, you know, with women, you can either change your values or change your goals. But you can change your values to match your goals if you truly have that desire. And I switch it from, people might go, oh, Amanda, you're just money hungry. It's about money. It's the love of money. No, it's the love of people that drives me. I've had many businesses that are product-based, but my love of products wanes in comparison to my love of people, seeing the lights go on, seeing families change, generations impacted. That is what drives me. And that's why I'm so, I guess, upfront about stinking thinking around money and helping women change their perceptions. It's doing so much good.
We're going to go a little bit over, but I hope you're okay. There's a few.
Have you got time?
I would make all the time in the world for you, Amanda. No doubt. So I want to go back to, if you're okay, back to responsibility, because I just know that when I got this, I was actually during a leadership training that I did in the US. It was the most life-changing thing I think that I'd ever really, when it just dropped in, that I am 100% responsible for me, letting go of any kind of victim to external circumstances, just how life-changing it is. So for the women that are listening to this, having any kind of conversation around it's okay for you because you've got, or you something, or something, you know, we've always got those conversations. I would love for you to just talk a little bit more about that responsibility and how you use that in your life.
Exactly. And I think anyone listening to this who could say, it's all right for you, Amanda. Well, 33 jobs and 14 businesses tells a complete different story. But I think the golden gem was when I was sitting in that seat, training to be a personal trainer, which I absolutely loved. And that quote from Jim Rohn, the formal education will earn you a living, self-education can make you a fortune. And in that moment, I literally, the tears just welled up in my eyes and streamed down, because I realized in that moment, Edwina, that I had been blaming, pointing the finger. I was angry and frustrated at everybody and anything except me. And it was time to look in the mirror. And I knew that if I wanted to make an impact in the world, I wanted to have my life by design, I needed to work on me harder than my businesses. And so I made a commitment that every day for a minimum, now anyone can do this, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours a day working on my philosophy, working on my mindset, the millionaire's mindset, and turning the tables, going, what if, just ask the question, what if we changed our self-belief, we elevated our self-worth? What would be the benefits to ourself, our family, our community, our state, our country, the globe? And that's why I love speaking with women like you on a global stage, to help other women behind us, that next generation that I would love to impact. In fact, we are impacting, to see that we can have, do have anything we desire, anything we put our mind to, but only if we would take responsibility, stop playing the victim and be the victor. First step was love and let go. That's part of my Live Now formula. Love myself and just let go of having to be right. Let go of the anger. Let go of the frustration and the blame. Yes. It can happen in a heartbeat, but so many people, as you would know, Edwina, love their freaking story. I say, girls, it's a dead horse and it stinks. It's time to bury it. It's heavy and it really, really does smell. Let's put that horse in the ground. It's dragging you backwards.
Love that. Oh my gosh, I'm going to use that. Yes, stories. Oh my goodness, how they define.
I got one.
Yeah. Let them go. I'm thinking how many years I blamed, you know, like I had a marriage that broke down, and how I blamed that and used as an excuse for just being stuck in the muck.
Well, you know, we all go through it, and we all have stories, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, it's just, there's only three things we can control: ourselves, our decisions, and our actions. And any businesswoman who's wanting to be successful, go and get that life by design. If we don't learn to control ourselves, how are we going to build a life? How are we going to have the foundation of success? Yeah, it takes a little bit of self-control. Yeah, doesn't always work out that way, does it, Edwina? But
then we get to go back to being okay with failure and just move on.
Look in the mirror and just say, I love you. I don't even say I forgive you. I love you. Let's just move on.
What's next? Yeah.
What's next?
So you talk about the Millionaire's movement that you've created. Tell me again what that is, so that the women who are tuning in can just get to know you that little bit more and connect with you, and become part of it.
Well, in 2017, we had one of our last seminars, and I just love teaching and educating, empowering. leading people to success. And what happened was I literally, I was in a position that I could retire, and it lasted 3 long weeks. Just gone, this is not working for me. I miss the people. I miss serving. I just love putting a light, helping someone, I love being a lighthouse for women, if I just put it into that simple term, because it used to be me. I was so lost for so many years trying to figure it out. And so we created what we call the Millionaires movement. And through a global stage, through what we have as a Millionaires magazine, we bring together world leading educators, inspirational women in business to help impart their wisdom, their experiences, their stories with other women who are up and coming and want success, want life on their own terms. And that's how the movement got started. I have a deep desire, a dream to impact with my team, and I can't do it by myself, of course, to empower and enrich lives for generations to come. So we too are giving away $1 million in education, in magazines and books, to plant that seed in a woman's mind that, wow, anything and everything is possible. I have a book, my Frustrated to Fabulous book, which is my story. And that's all part of the giveaway, just to show women that, wow, someone from Tasmania, a young kid of 5 with all the gear and no idea, left home at 16, started out on a journey, 33 jobs, 14 businesses, but just got the right message at the right time. And I went on to create that Life by Design. Then anybody can. Anybody can. And that's what I'm doing now for the rest of my professional life, is this sort of stuff. Yeah. And hopefully somebody got, or hopefully a lot of you got massive value from this wisdom today.
Yeah, absolutely. We will wind it up shortly, but I've just got to ask you this one question.
Oh, it's no problem.
If you can pull out one thing, and I know that's going to be a challenge, but what would be the most audacious thing you have ever done?
The most audacious thing I have ever done in business, do you mean?
No, anything that just comes in. I know there's going to be so many, but I just, whatever comes, bold and daring.
I think, to be truthful, turning my back on conformity, turning my back on trying to fit in, turning my back on caring what other people thought and said about me, which hasn't always been really easy, and to trust my God-given gifts and desire to leave home and live the life that I truly wanted. That was not easy at 16. And to have so many jobs trying to figure it out. If I could say one word of wisdom, that's what I would say. Encourage any of you, no matter your past, your background, your education, anything. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have the courage to turn your back on conformity and caring what everybody else thinks you should do with your life, that is true freedom. That is the best advice I would ever give anyone.
Yeah. There is a running theme throughout these interviews from all these amazing, audacious women, and it is showing up authentically is one of the boldest things you can do in your life.
Yeah, you've said that beautifully. Yeah, it is audacious, and that's good. I'm glad that I matched the theme of the.
I just love it. I've told this story before, but one of my other shows, I asked every speaker, 23 speakers, what their favorite breakfast was, and every single speaker said eggs.
I love eggs on toast as well.
It's like, oh my gosh, who's buying shares in an egg company? We're on a roll here.
In fact, Melissa's sitting here with me. She has eggs every morning. It's a breakfast of champions, a hot breakfast. That's why she's successful. Eggs and spinach and mushrooms and toast. I've been making my own bread for 22 years. I love food.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh.
What's your favourite breakfast, girlfriend?
At the moment, I'm having cooked fruit. I've done a bit of a switch.
Ooh, yum.
Cook up apples, banana, date, even an orange, and chili is I'll put a bird's eye chili in it, and I actually cook it up, and I have that with an avocado. That's my favorite breakfast at the moment.
That sounds very interesting.
It's delicious.
I'm not sure about the chili. Woo! First thing of a morning, but that'll fire you up, get the metabolism going.
Get everything going. Yeah, I love it.
Love it.
I hope I challenge everyone to try that and come back and tell me what they
I
think.
love a challenge.
No.
Is there anything else I can serve? Anything else I can do to give or help you?
I know that you have a beautiful gift for our audience, an amazingly generous gift for our audience. Would you take a minute to tell us or tell everyone what that is?
Well, first of all, I really want to say thank you so much for inviting me into this community and sharing this time with me. Again, hopefully taking down so many notes. And if you would love to find out more, you want more inspiration, more wisdom from women who are actually doing what you want in life, creating success, soulfully serving others, millionairesmagazine.com is a gift of a year of subscriptions to our Millionaires magazine, where we have global leaders connecting on a global stage, and so giving of their time, their wisdom, their stories, and fabulous ideas, really gaining momentum. And of course, you'll also get my audio book of my new book, From Frustrated to Fabulous, which is an inspirational guide for women who dare to live their dreams. It's got all about my formula. It is an audio that goes for about 7.5 hours with myself narrating that. If you can handle the Aussie accent.
Awesome. Love it.
But that's all as a gift. So we would love to share that. And again, if we can help in any other way, Edwina, we are here for you and your tribe.
This has just been the most delightful conversation, and I am so grateful for your time, Amanda. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's been an absolute delight sharing this time with you. I think what you're doing is incredible. It's kind of like the movement that you're starting yourself is empowering women globally. It is priceless. So many women are going to benefit globally. So thank you for sharing and inviting me onto this community.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. From dead broke to over 60 million. What a beautiful story. And I hope that it lights that fire of possibility and excitement in your life, in your belly. That's what I love to, that gut feeling. Think about, before Christmas when all the presents are still wrapped and you don't yet know what's inside, but it's going to be something great. It's just that feeling, that bubbling feeling of anticipation. So when you think about living your life by design, as Amanda has done, what does that look like for you? Start writing it down. Make a list. Start each sentence with I would love, or what would I love? And see what comes out. Don't overthink it. What's in your heart? Just write it down. So living your life by design, how would you design it? Just like we design a wedding, we come up with this beautiful vision of what we're going to wear, who we're going to surround ourselves with, what we're going to eat, where we're going to be, every detail. And then we work to bring it to life. You can do this with your whole life. So get excited. Start writing. My dog Pokey's come to visit right at the end. But I hope you will take action, because that is where the change in your life will really start to come to play. All right, that's it from me today. So much love, and bye for now.